Welcome back to the second version of the Apple story. In the first chapter of the Steve Jobs trilogy, we've been looking back to Apple's decades without Steve Jobs. After Jobs left a legacy and has buried an Apple empire, Tim Cook makes the company's biggest decade ever. But here's the question: how could Steve Jobs know Tim Cook's success potential at then and choose him to be the next leader of the Apple empire? What kind of character of Tim Cook may Steve Jobs lean on? In short, the late Steve Jobs and Tim Cook are very different in the management skills and also the personalities. They are some standing at the very opposite from each other. One is very instinctive, gut-feel, visionary, of course Steve Jobs, and the other is very operational guy, in other words, the builder. When Tim Cook was the chief operating officer of Apple, Cook was known as a quiet, hardworking Southern gentleman, in contrast to Jobs' reputation of having abrasive personality. So no one got a positive opinion on the question, can Tim Cook replace the vacancy of Steve Jobs? No, never! Cook did neither he or anybody could replace Steve Jobs, but over the past 10 years, Cook had demonstrated keen instinct, some of which he credited to his predecessor. Steve Jobs often made choices that reflect a sharp intuition, like scraping the plastic screen on the iPhone for glass just a few minutes before the launch. Steve Jobs was a unique person whose vision and gut feel about what consumers would want well before they knew what they needed was unparalleled. In that sense, he was one of a kind. There must be a reason Steve Jobs chose Tim Cook as the leader of his own empire 10 years ago. So let's go back to the days and find out the answers. At first, vision to profit operation guy. The success of defective Apple is often attributed to Steve Jobs, who revolutionized the computer and smartphone products. However, if one is a business administrator, one cannot help but admire Tim Cook for his strategy of supply chain management and inventory handling. This has helped the Apple to produce iPhone, iPad, and iPad in extremely large quantities at the most optimal cost. Tim Cook officially joined Apple in 1998 with the position of Senior Vice President in charge of global operations. In early 1998, I listened to my intuition. Not more than 5 minutes after my first interview with Steve Jobs, I decided to join Apple. My intuition was that joining Apple was only opportunity to work in a leading creative environment. At the same time, I will be on the executive team that makes a great American company. Before joining Apple, Tim Cook had experience in managing the supply chain at Compaq, a big man founded in 1982 selling laptop products and a number of related services. When he first worked for Apple, Tim Cook quickly realized the company's supply chain and inventory was having problems and took the necessary steps to optimize, and he quickly removed inefficiencies from Apple's supply chain. Even in Tim Cook's first year on the job, Apple spent $100 million to pre-book transportation flight through the holiday. This move is to prepare for the global launch of the iMac G3 model without worrying about the overloading problems during the peak shopping. Tim Cook's decision paid off when the iMac G3 became a resounding success. Apple's competitors were pushed into the difficult position, facing the situation of not being able to find a shipping unit during the busiest sales season of the year. Apple's insider Sam Oliver said that Tim Cook had cut the numbers of suppliers from 100 to just 24. This forces the remaining companies to fight with each other if they want to win the order from Apple. According to Bloomberg, in 1996, Apple sold a large manufacturing plant in Colorado. At the same time, Tim Cook also stopped the production in Ireland, closing the only remaining factory in Elk Grove, California, USA. This is also the time when Apple has stepped it up to outsourcing manufacturing in China, such as Foxconn, starting with laptops and webcams. A special feature of Tim Cook is that he requires Foxconn and its manufacturing partners to follow the aesthetic and quality requirements set by Steve Jobs himself and designer Jony Ive. Apple engineers who create specialized manufacturing equipment must regularly travel to China to inspect, evaluate, and improve hardware and production line. Apple Supplier Assessment Checklist has up to 500 different criteria including labor rights, health, safety, environment, ethics, and management systems. Apple suppliers need to make sure they meet Apple's rules and standards or they will quickly be replaced. Tim Cook also has a higher move than the competitors by buying new components a year in advance and making exclusive deals on many key components to ensure Apple stay at the forefront. Apple is also known for its policy of signing long-term contracts with several key suppliers. The US technology giant are willing to spend large sums of money offered to negotiate low cost and the largest amount of reserves possible. This approach brings a lot of sustainable value to Apple while minimizing risks and limiting competitors from expanding mass production capabilities. This can also explain why Apple does not seem to be too affected by the global chip crisis that has taken place from 2020 until now. According to the New York Times, the iPhone is considered the best-selling and most profitable product for Apple. The company chooses to buy many components such as memory chips, camera modules, microphones, and touchscreen from global suppliers. Apple will then ship them to the assembly plant in China by air to save time and money. Foxconn's factory system has 94 production lines. Assembling an iPhone involves about 400 steps including polishing, welding, drilling, and screwing. The factory can produce more than 500,000 iPhones a day, over 350 a minute. Fully assembled and beautifully packaged iPhone will leave the factory by truck and be taken to the airport. The shipment is then airlifted to the US and many other global markets. Previously, the shipment was done by the container ships and each trip usually lasts about a month. Tim Cook has pioneered a change in the way goods are transported. Smartphones are small enough to transport it by plane in bulk and cost effectively. On Boeing 747 can easily carry 150,000 iPhones. After the iPhone leaves the Foxconn factory in Zhangzhou, it takes an average of 2 days to store in Shanghai and about 3 days to store in San Francisco, USA. In addition, Apple also uses a UPS or FedEx delivery service to deliver the product to users who order the product online through the company's website. In the remaining distribution channels such as retail stores and distributors, Apple stores goods in central warehouses and delivers products from these warehouses. According to the Apple's Director of Supply Management, Tim Cook is extremely strict with ordering process. Tim Cook believes that fast delivery time not only makes users happy but also helps Apple reduce inventory cost. Tim Cook believes that the technology sector changes very quickly. Therefore, keeping inventory for too long is considered a crime. He compared Apple products to the dairy business. If the product in stock exceeds the expiry date, the company has problem because no one wants to buy a sour milk. In addition, Tim Cook also confirmed that the value of the product will decrease by 1 to 2% per week if the inventory situation continues. The early results show that Tim Cook's strategy was correct. In 2011, Apple sold almost every iPad 2 it made, and it didn't face the inventory issues. The success comes from the fact that Apple has cut the numbers of SKUs, the storage units, to approximately 26,000. Many times lower than other tech companies, the strategy of reducing the number of key suppliers, central warehouses, and SKUs, along with the system-wide data synchronization, has made Apple demand's forecast more accurate. With more than 10 years in the position of Apple, Tim Cook has contributed to make the iPhone the most successful tech product in history. At the same time, he also builds Apple an impregnable fortress. Warren Buffett praised Tim Cook that Tim may not design the products like Steve Jobs, however, he understands the world so well that very few CEOs I've met in over 60 years can match. The second, like Steve Jobs. From his first day at Apple in 1998, Tim Cook is known as intensively private, worked in the shadow of Steve Jobs and other prominent leaders. The two leaders have worked in a very different sector and have the strength in some opposite areas, but both of them share the enthusiasm to make the Apple best. While Tim Cook's job making sure Apple could produce, assemble, and ship its breakthrough products around the world and do so profitably was not considerably sexy, he made Steve Jobs' imagination possible in a real business. Take the iPad. It took Steve Jobs' imagination and expertise of his engineer and designer to create it, but Tim Cook's operational abilities allow Apple to parlay a cool product into a business. As Tim Cook delivered research, he earned more respect from Steve Jobs. More importantly, because he focused on the area that Steve Jobs knew little about, he rarely butted heads with him. Former Apple executive said, Tim Cook also has a reputation as a demanding boss. When it comes to his management style, Tim Cook is just as mild-mannered as Steve Jobs. Tim Cook is still relentless when it comes to tackling issues. Cook is known for grilling employees with a series of questions to ensure they are top of their responsibilities. As cult of Mac editor Leander Kanye detailed in his book Tim Cook, the genius who took the Apple to the next level. When describing Cook's management style as chief officer, Kanye writes that the Apple CEO could wear people down through the endless barrage of questions. He's a very quiet leader, not a screamer, not a yeller. He's very calm, steady, but will slice you up with questions. You'd better know your stuff. He will ask you 10 questions. If you answer them right, he'll ask you 10 more. If you do this for the year, he will asking you 9 questions. Get one wrong and he'll ask you 20 and then 30. For example, when there were some problems in China, Tim Cook said in an executive meeting that things are not going well in China, someone should go and check the situation. After being done with the meeting just 30 seconds later, he saw the Glover executive in charge and asked, "Why are you still here?" According to USA Today, Tim Cook usually rises at 3:45 a.m. and starts his day at 4 a.m. in the morning to work reading through some of 700 to 800 emails he gets every day. Tim Cook was well prepared to devote himself to make the Apple successful. Steve Jobs must know it. The third, not like Steve Jobs. On top of the story, a former Apple employee gave a perfect explanation of the difference between Cook's Apple and Steve Jobs' Apple. Steve Jobs was a wartime CEO, while Tim is a peacetime CEO. The late Steve Jobs was an extraordinary innovator, but he wasn't a great CEO. He succeeded in spite of himself. Jobs may be unparalleled at developing new technology products, but running companies wasn't his strength. His successor, Tim Cook, has proven himself to be superior in the role and has arguably become the best. When Jobs returned to Apple, it was on the brink of death, so he had to be an aggressive, attacking leader. He wasn't under the glider to establish Apple as an important technology company. Jobs succeeded, and now Apple is the most valuable company in the world. But being the most valuable company in the world means that you should act differently. You're no longer the underdog, and things that are okay for an underdog seem a little bit arrogant for a leader. Cook has shifted the company to be a bit kinder and gentler. Another former employee explained Cook by saying that the only thing that Steve Jobs cared about was creating a great product. The company, the employees were only there to facilitate the goal. Tim was much more worried about everything at the company. Since his first day as CEO, Tim Cook has been compared with Steve Jobs, but he never tried to be a Steve Jobs. The spirit of late Steve Jobs will guide the Apple's new CEO, Tim Cook, but Cook said that he's not sitting back and wonder what does Steve Jobs do when he makes a decision. I really want Jobs' legacy to be with Apple 10 years from now, hundreds of years from now, thousands of years from now, Cook said. Not for Apple to be constrained by it. We are not thinking, what does Steve Jobs do? We are not thinking that, but we are very much married to the vision of making the best products. Jobs knows well that I cannot be him and no one can be like him. He wants to be yourself and be your best version of yourself. That's the thing that Steve Jobs wants. The thing that I can be is to be the best version of Tim Cook, myself. From my point of view, Steve, his spirit will always be the DNA of the company, Cook said. He embodied who we are. It was his vision that Apple should make the best products, and it was his vision that they should enrich people's lives. Lots of other things will change with Apple, but that will never change. Tim Cook is by no means a mini-me of Jobs. He is his own man and highly trained thinker and manager. However, he developed this level of leadership under Jobs' tutelage. His decisions on driving Apple forward are clearly his own. Jobs prepared him for the role and was willing to entrust Apple's future to him without any hesitations. Jobs' 10 years process of preparing a successor at Apple is why its sales and share price are soaring. Tim Cook continues to carry on Jobs' overall vision for Apple, and I still expect him to excel in this role for years to come. If Steve Jobs was known for his ability to create groundbreaking devices that redefined consumers' experience of technology, Cook may come to be known for expanding the Apple's ecosystem. Building a suite of subscription services and other hardware products that complement the core iPhone business Jobs launched. Cook may not match Jobs in a creative ability, but he is the best person to bring all the elements of Apple together. Thank you so much for watching my video, and please subscribe to my channel and share your thumbs up. I will hop around the world and bring lots of thousands of funny stories to you guys. And see you again. Bye!